Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I am proud to rise today to speak in favor of our government's extension of Operation UNIFIER. In the face of ongoing Russian military aggression and illegal occupation, our government remains steadfast in Canada's commitment to the Ukrainian people. Our special relationship with Ukraine is bolstered by a shared vision, one in which the Ukrainian people have succeeded in their work to build a more secure, stable, and prosperous country, one in which Ukraine is free from Russian aggression. We have been among the strongest international supporters of Ukraine's efforts to restore stability and to implement democratic and economic reforms. Canada was also one of the first countries to impose sanctions on the Russian government after its illegal invasion and annexation of Crimea in 2014. The current government has continued to uphold this tough stance on Russia when it expanded sanctions against specific Russian officials. These officials include the so-called elected representatives to the Duma from Crimea, individuals who have absolutely no business being there. Furthermore, since January of 2014, the Government of Canada has announced over $700 million in assistance to Ukraine. Mr. Chair, this effort to support Ukraine through this important period of transition is a non-partisan commitment, and I would like to take a moment to thank the previous government for their work on this very important file. As we work to support Ukraine, military assistance will remain a key component of our country's commitment to Ukraine across development, security, democracy, and humanitarian aid. Mr. Chair, for those that may not be familiar with Operation UNIFIER, I would like to take a moment to talk about what Canada's contribution to military aid in Ukraine looks like. Operation UNIFIER is a multinational joint support mission which currently includes approximately 200 Canadian Armed Forces personnel. Canada's main focus is on tactical soldier training, and as of December 2016, the Canadian Armed Forces has provided more than 3,200 training opportunities to UAF soldiers and officers on Operation UNIFIER. Many of these Canadians deployed are veterans of the war in Afghanistan and are now involved in training UAF personnel, including some coming directly from the front line in the eastern Ukrainian region of Donbass. Mr. Chair, the impact of these Canadian soldiers' training efforts has been commendable, and I would like to take a moment to recognize and thank these soldiers who are hard at work for Canada, helping to build a better, more stable, and more secure world. Mr. Chair, there are those that would dismiss the notion that Canada is undertaking a training role as if that role was unimportant. I would like to just draw down into one specific training element that our forces will be assisting with. Canadian forces will be training Ukrainian forces on explosive ordnance disposal and improvised explosive device disposal training. This might seem like a small thing to some, but this is a critically important skill. Let me, Mr. Chair, provide some context. According to the 2016 annual report from the Landmine Monitor, Ukrainian government forces claim that they are forced to deal with the deployment of landmines and other illegal devices in Ukraine. Someone other than the Ukrainian government is deploying landmines in Ukrainian territory. Let me quote from the report. In November 2014, an officer from the General Staff informed soldiers that separate NSAGs were using landmines attached to fishhooks and fishing lines to snag the clothing of soldiers as they move through wooded areas, thereby detonating nearby mines. Numerous reports of the past few years have indicated that landmines and other illegal devices have had devastating consequences upon the civilian population in Ukraine as well. In March 2015, it was reported that over the previous year, at least 42 children had been killed and 109 more were injured by mines in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions of eastern Ukraine alone. Given Canada's proud history of supporting the eradication of landmines, I think it is extremely fitting and important that we engage in these kinds of training activities. I'm proud of our government's commitment to engage on the world stage in terms of their commitment, $650 million, to assist with a global initiative to make up for the funding cuts to newborn and maternal health that have come from the recent global gag order, to our contributions to the 5th Replenishment Conference on the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. That is why I'm so proud that we have chosen to extend our contribution to Operation UNIFIER for additional 2 years. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Questions and comments.